Hello everyone, Des here again from GMIT Letterfrack with another in our series of our DCG SolidWorks tutorials. Just before we begin, if you'd like more information about the degree programs we offer in furniture design, wood technology or teacher education, then see our Facebook and Twitter pages. So we're going to continue work on our blender, and in this video we're going to focus on the etchings, the markings on the glass or plastic jug. So in doing so we will learn about reference planes, the use of sketching, or more specifically sketch text. We're going to extrude to and offset from a surface, and then we're going to use a circular pattern to make sure the text appears on both sides of the jug. So let's begin. So moving over to SolidWorks, here is the jug that I have prepared, and what I want to do is put the markings on this face and also the back face of the jug. So to do so, I'll need a reference plane. So go to Features, Reference Geometry Plane. My reference plane in this case will be the front plane. And I want to get a plane that sits somewhere outside, away from the main body of the jug. So green tick to approve that. So I'm going to sketch my markings onto this plane. So to do so, sketch, just pick a line for now, and then the plane. Hit the space bar, look normal to it, and we're ready to begin. So I'm going to begin with not a line but a slot, a straight slot, and I'll begin somewhere around the bottom, making sure I pick up the origin. I want this to be as symmetrical as I can. So the first click I will position there, the second click somewhere to the top, and then expand the slot out to a size. Now to dimension it, I'm going to make this 4. And I'm going to make that point approximately 65-70 above the base of the jug, 70. Okay, so there we have it. Now that I see that, I can see that this top piece is not fully defined, so I'll just set that height to be 120. And I'll also just double check that I'm happy with the radius 4. It looks a little big, so I'll double click that and make that 3. So let's work on the markings on this side of the jug for now. So to do so, I'm going to call up a center line and position a center line vertically aligned like that. Its base I want to be approximately 74, 75, let's say 74 for now, 74 from the bottom, and I want it to be offset a value of 12.5 from this line. So what I'm going to do on that is position a series of circles. For now, I'm just going to snap one onto the bottom, and I'm going to snap another 5 circles up along. And I want all those circles to be the same radius. So what I will do is hold Control and select all 6 of the circles. When I've finished selecting them, I'll apply an equals constraint, which will make them all the same size. But as you can see, if I drag one now, they'll all resize, but I want them all to be a very particular value. So Smart Dimension, click one of them, and let's say diameter 4. Looks good. Now this jug is actually a model of a jug I was working on that I had in front of me. So I measured the distances with a calipers. Of course, in the real world, there's a bit more science involved in actually getting the values set depending on the volume or the capacity and the slope of the side of the jug. But for now, we'll just put in these values. (21), and the last one is 21. So they're going to represent the markings on the jug. I now want to put some text beside each of the markings. So just for the time being, I'm going to drag the dimensions out of the way so they don't overpower the view I'm about to create. And what I'll do is I'll draw a series of center lines, starting beside the circle and moving out a little. Same thing again, starting here and moving out. Same again, starting here and moving out. Now while I'm drawing them, these lines are going to, I need to make that one horizontal actually, so click it and then horizontal. These lines are going to be the guidelines for the text I'm about to create. Sometimes when you're drawing text, it may be necessary to just position it randomly somewhere, but more often than not, you want a very particular direction, very particular control over the text. And I find if you position a line first of all, and then attach the text to that, you get a neater result. I want all the text to be aligned perfectly, so rather than allowing the lines to move freely, I will hold Control and select each of the left-hand points of those lines and hit vertical. And then let's do the same for the right-hand points. Click them all while holding Control and vertical. It's good practice now to set a value there between them. Let's say 5 mil. And let's tell all the lines to be, I missed, we'll try that again. All the lines to be a value of 30. So there we have it. I see one that is blue. It's a sure sign that it has not been fully defined. So if you want to see why something is not fully defined, simply click and drag it and see how it behaves. So I can see this one is dragging up and down, so it's not in alignment with the circle. That's an easy fix. Hold Control, select the center of this circle and that point, and I want both of those 2 points to be in horizontal alignment, so simply select horizontal and we're done. So now what I will do is, with the sketch still open, select this A, which is the text command. Under curves, select one of the lines, in this case the bottom line, and then simply activate the text box and type in the text you want to get. So in my case I'm going to type in 125. If you wish, you could also edit the text. For instance, I can select that, I can make it bold, I can also deselect use document font and use my own font. So click font and change the size of it, say from 3.5 mil up to 5 mil, press OK. Press the green tick and the text will appear on that line. So again, let's do it. Hit the text, hit the curve. In this case, we're going to type in 250. Select the text, bold, deselect document font, and make the settings you wish. I'll do one more and then I'll skip on a little bit. So hit the text command, hit this line. Type in here 500 in this case, bold, and let's make it 5 mil. So you can see I've skipped on a little. I've just repeated the last 3 lines, adding the text I wish. I also want to get another series of text on the left hand side of the jug. In this case I have a measure for milliliters, so on the left hand side of the jug I want to get a measurement for cups. So we can begin as we did before with a center line, and as much as possible I want to try and get it symmetrically aligned. And there were slightly different dimensions. In this case, rather than being 74 up, this one was 76 up. I will still position it a distance of 12.5 out. And I will again draw 6 circles. When finished, hold Control, select all 6 in turn, and then apply the equals constraint. And finally, let's just give this a diameter again of diameter 4 mil. As we did a moment ago, start using the construction or center line tool to put a series of lines up along. So here we are a few minutes later. I've added the construction lines up along on the left hand side of the jug, similar to the ones I've added to the right. I've also added all of the text. The only thing that may need to be applied here is the reverse or the flip command. For instance, this piece of text, if I use the flip command, it mirrors it about that construction line up or down, and this other flip horizontal command will mirror it left and right. So just sometimes you may need to use those commands to change the text. So just for neatness, I'm going to right click the plane and hide it. Let's close the sketch first. And what I have is the sketch I wish floating in space away from the side of the jug. Now there are two ways of getting this imprinted on the side of the jug. The first one is the wrap feature. So if I go to Insert, Features, Wrap, I'll then be prompted to select the sketch first of all, so I will select it from my feature manager. Then I need to select a face onto which to wrap this, so I'll select the face of the jug. It usually takes a moment for a complicated sketch like this. And you can see the surface of the jug is developed into this yellow sketch, and you can also see the imprint of the feature on the jug itself. Now, word of warning, sometimes this will work, sometimes it won't. It depends on the sketch, it depends on the face that you're projecting onto, but in this case it will work. So there are three different options: emboss, deboss and scribe. Scribe simply writes the text onto the surface. Emboss raises the text up a little bit, and deboss sinks it down a little bit. So let's emboss it 0.5 of a mil. Press the green tick. Again, it takes a moment because it's quite a complicated sketch we're using here. And there we have it. So you can see the text has actually been extruded out, but rather than just being an orthographic extrusion, it's actually been projected on and wrapped itself around the jug. So what I'm going to do is actually delete that. I'm happy with that, but I'm going to delete that feature just to show you another way of doing it. Now what you can also do is use the Extrude Cut feature. So what we're going to do is call up the features, Extruded Cut command, select the sketch in question, the one we've just drawn, which is this one. And rather than just doing a straightforward extrusion where we specify a depth or a distance, we will change blind to offset from surface. You'll then be prompted to select a surface. In this case, it's the curved surface of the jug. It takes a moment to rebuild a very complicated sketch like this. And then we will specify a distance. So let's say 0.5 of a mil. I want this cut to extrude itself up as far as the surface of the jug, and then a further 0.5 of a mil. Now usually you can see the 0.5 of a mil is actually outside the jug, so this is not going to cut the jug. So let's select reverse offset. And there you have it. The preview shows that that's going to cut in 0.5 of a mil. Now, rather than wrapping itself around the jug as the wrap feature did, it just projected itself on orthographically, which is fine. It's still not bad, but I certainly would rather the wrap feature if it works. So let's press the green tick to approve that and see what we get. So not bad. Let's now get that on the other side of the jug. So to do so, we'll need an axis. In my case, I do have an axis. I'll just simply add another one. I will go to Reference, Axis, and in this case, I will select two planes. And I'll select the front plane and the right plane and press the green tick because I know they are centered in my jug. So I will then go to Circular Pattern. When prompted to do so, I will select the Cut Extrude I'm after applying. Highlight this top box to allow me to select either the axis, or you could have just selected the edge circle there rather than putting in an axis, but I chose to put in an axis. Again, it's going to take a moment to rebuild, and here I can see the angle is 15 degrees, so I actually want to tick equal spacing, and I want to set that to 360, which it does so automatically. Now it hasn't happened here, but sometimes it throws up an error and a lot of the times it'll be solved by deselecting geometry pattern. So if you don't get that other preview at the back, simply deselect geometry pattern, and in a lot of cases it will fix it for you. So press the green tick, wait for it to rebuild, and there we have it. It's at both sides. So let's simply right click the axis and hide it. And before we finish off, let's apply some material appearances. Now, from experimenting this year, I find, even though this was a plastic jug that I was drawing, I find that putting on glass, clear glass, worked better and rendered better for me. And just to make the markings stand out a little, I haven't done so, but if you wanted, you could fillet the corners of those to make them a little bit more realistic. But what you can also do is put on down under plastic, clear plastic, and put frosted plastic onto the feature. So over here in the browser I can see circular pattern and cut extrude 12. I can take frosted plastic and drop it onto cut extrude 12 in my case, and I can drop the same thing onto the circular pattern. And trust me, in the render it just makes those pop out a little bit better because they have a slight different texture. So there we have it. Thanks for watching. I hope you found it useful. And remember, if you want more videos from our series, please see the videos available on our GMIT Letterfrack YouTube channel.